The only problem with Santino and Andy is this podcast. Well, welcome back to another edition of your favorite movie podcast. I am one of your hosts, Andy Matzke, and I'm joined, as always, by VFX extraordinaire Santino Vitale.
Hi.
He's here. And this week, we have a very special episode of the podcast. We are joined by a guest. This guest is a screenwriter, a producer, a
Author.
podcast extraordinaire author. There's another one. And we could keep going. And he is my father. We have Mark Matzke on the show.
Hello, hello. It's a great honor to be on my favorite movie podcast tonight. This is
Wow.
this is fantastic.
I had no clue we were number one. I'm flattered. That's awesome. Even after we talked about Godzilla 1954 and didn't speak the best of it, he's still on. He's still decided to come on the show and talk with us today.
Yeah, I honored my obligation.
Yeah,
No, it would be fun, it'd be fun if you ever wanted to just have like a Godzilla retrospective. I know on the show you guys talked about circling back to other Godzilla films that you thought were worthy or warranted mention, and I'd show up for that if you were ever in the
oh,
mood.
yeah. Well, I can assure our listeners that there will be other Godzilla movies in the future for no other reason than they are definitely movies Santino hasn't seen, and those
Hmm.
are hard to come by. So there's definitely a couple that I've thought about that will be back eventually. Right now, we're kind of in this spooky season kick. And last week was the movie The Gate. And this week is a very special episode. This week, we are talking about the 2021 film Malignant because my dad had never seen Malignant before. And for our audience at home, Malignant is a cult classic among Santino and myself. It is a movie that is often quoted and alluded to. The cult is me and Santino, and it's a classic amongst us. And
I think it's also a cult classic, like proper now. I think it's
yeah,
pretty
which
well
is
regarded online.
yeah, because this movie is just absurd. Would you like to summarize the movie for us, please? Santino,
Oh,
sorry.
I wasn't
I
sure if you're
pointed
pointing at your
and that
dad.
didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the summary here is in the most simple terms, because it is convoluted, is that it's a movie in which this woman, we follow this woman. I'm already struggling to like find a succinct way of doing this. We
Yeah.
follow this woman whose boyfriend gets killed in the night by what we think is an intruder. And then there are all these murders that start happening around town. And as the cops try to kind of zero in on who it is, we find that there's some link between the killer and our lead, except the link is just so absurd that you never really fully can guess what it is, even if you're kind of on the trail of it. And by the end, we end up just kind of, spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it. We find out that our lead is in fact kind of the killer in a sense because her evil twin, who was a malignant twin that was growing out of the back of her head as a child, was just kind of pushed back into her head by the doctors because they're like, we don't know what to do with this stuff. And then like the evil twin just kind of comes back out and starts a killing. That's the best I can summarize it. Like, can you think of
Now,
anything else that would help the listeners to know what's going on?
that really is this movie because I think I've only seen this movie one other time before this.
Mhm.
And as I was thinking back on it, I like for the life of me could not really remember a plot. I was like, okay, I think there's this lady, all right,
Mhm.
and something happens to her, and then other stuff, and she starts seeing these visions. This is an important part of the movie. She starts
Right.
seeing these visions of the killer killing his victims, but then at some point she's brought in again, and like I could not remember like this overall story and
Hmm.
rewatching it, I was like, oh, this is kind of basically what I remember. Like, and there's something about like a doctor, but is that another movie? Because I swear there's something like literally growing out of the back at one point. That's got to be another movie. And then lo and behold, it was all Malignant, and
Hmm.
it was all true.
And for the sake of us not having to continually say our lead character or this lady, it's funny because the movie's kind of so absurd. Names just kind of leave my head, but it's Annabelle is the lead. That is our lead woman, because of course James Wan, the director writer here, likes to keep referencing his Conjuring universe stuff. So Annabelle Wallace, I believe, right, is the
I'll
lead's
have to
name.
look it up.
So
I'll look at it.
she's our heroine. She's our kind of unreliable narrator, as it were. She's also adopted, which is a huge plot point for like all of 5 seconds, which we'll get to that at some point. But there's no good like if you have to pitch this movie to somebody, you basically just go, look, it's kind of like Jack the Ripper meets The Matrix meets Fight Club meets like it's just kind of all over the board.
The main character's Madison,
Oh,
and the
Madison.
actress's name is Annabelle.
Oh, well, no wonder I'm they're she did such a good job. They're one and the same.
Yeah,
Madison.
they bleed together.
Hmm. Listeners forget everything I just said.
Yeah,
I don't know.
this movie is exceptional. If you haven't seen it, we've spoiled it already, but if you haven't seen it, you gotta stop this show and go check it out because everything we're gonna talk about pales our words are nothing compared to the cinematic experience that is this
Mhm.
movie. So, Dad, initial thoughts, because I didn't tell you really much about this movie. I don't know if
What
you
did you
heard.
tell him?
I don't. What did I
Almost
tell?
nothing. Almost nothing. I mean, you said it's the movie that you wanted to watch, and you got the Blu-ray, and I saw the cover of the Blu-ray, and that was the extent of my knowledge of or exposure to Malignant before watching it.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it was about as ideal as you could imagine because I went into it completely blind with zero expectations just about. And I have to say, at first, I thought the tone of this movie is so odd. And I was really struggling to sort of understand what world was this movie happening in. And then it starts, and having just watched it, this is fresh in my mind. It begins in a rather mild way, like the first couple of scary incidents. I mean, there's some stuff that's shown, but not really. And I thought, huh, this is this is beginning in somewhat of a mild fashion, but it starts to escalate, and you start to suspect that it's going to go into a darker territory, which it does. But like just the opening sequences, it's so stylized and so just odd that my initial reaction to it was, huh, this is just weird. Is it trying to be weird? Is it intentionally weird? Is it going to take a turn at some point? So I was intrigued, I have to say. So my initial impressions were that, and then as it kept as the story progressed, it became more and more enjoyable. I will say it that way. And some of the influences really started to show themselves, which I truly enjoyed those as well.
Speaking of its, to bring it back to your initial comments, speaking of its like tonal confusion, the opening like prologue happens, and then it's like the music kicks on, and it's like buck chicka buck chicka, like weird techno. And it's one of the few things I said to Dad while we were watching the movie. I said, "This movie came out in 2021,"
Yeah.
Hmm.
and Dad was like, "Oh." And was like, I just want to explain, like, yeah, all the glitch effects and like
Hmm.
almost like house music of the intro. It's like this movie came out the year I graduated high school, not like in 2008. Like this
Hmm.
is
Yeah, or even 2005. 5. I mean, it's got such a mid 2000s vibe about it. The whole thing
Hmm.
is insane.
Yeah. So your Malignant experience, at least from the start, seems about right, which is like, what is this movie I'm watching? Which
Hmm.
even like I'd seen it before, right? And that's again like a second time around, you're still like, it starts off with that like talking to camera thing, and it almost seems like a
Which
fake
is
movie.
insane. It does. It feels like it's a movie inside of a movie. That's
Yeah,
what I
and then
thought when I went to the theater. I thought
it's
the
just
movie hadn't
yeah.
started yet.
Like it really feels like it starts out feeling like a movie within a movie is the perfect way to describe because it kind of does, but then even more so that whole like he's communicating through like he's what is
He's
it? He's
he's
broadcasting his thoughts.
yeah, he's
Is
drinking
like
the electricity. We have to cut out the cancer. There's like just so many
Yeah.
weird one-liners.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like that that it's wild. And that's all within the first like 3 or 4 minutes of this movie.
Yeah, so the audience knows what we're talking about. The movie starts with like a very kind of amateurish camera overlay where you're watching a point of view of what's supposed to be a VHS camera of a doctor and this giant impossible asylum that's in what, Washington state? Like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Wash.
structure doesn't
Yes.
exist.
This movie starts with an establishing shot of the most unrealistically over like over engineered architecture
Gothic,
building. Gothic. It looks like you
ridiculous.
dropped the Cathedral of Notre Dame in the Puget Sound, and you
Right.
just that the movie forces you to accept that as the
Hmm.
first thing.
And then the
The
second
first
thing,
thing.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And then the second thing is it's like it's a talking head. She's talking to camera, and it's like super stilted. And you're like,
It's
is this a comedy? I turned to my dad when we watched it. I'm
Yeah.
like, is this a comedy? Like, what's going on? And then there's like red alert, stuff's going off, and people are getting thrown against the walls, and they're like,
yeah.
Gabriel's attacking or whatever the heck. And I'm
And
like,
and to get back to this, it's a bad VHF like VHS look,
hmm
right? Like
yeah, it's not
bad
good.
VHS effect, which the movie does good VHS effects later in the movie. So like
Yeah, which is really weird.
so the fact it starts with like what you throw together in iMovie
hmm
is just bananas. Bananas. So enough of what we're rambling about. So
Yeah,
then the movie introduces you to the main character, which is Madison. And we meet her and her abusive boyfriend,
which
which
is
immediately
fantastic.
the tone of this movie is like so dark,
Mm,
it loses its grip with reality because it's her abusive boyfriend and she's pregnant and
mm.
he says something like he says a line that's straight up like I
Well,
don't
she's
want to
been
watch.
having
Yeah,
miscarriages.
she's been having miscarriages. He's like, I don't want to watch my babies die inside you again. And it's like, oh my gosh. It also, that scene has the line, hey, I was watching that, delivered
Yes.
about just like that.
Yes.
Yeah, like she comes
It's,
in, turns the TV off or whatever.
yeah, he's like, hey, I was watching that. And so we meet
Hmm.
her and her abusive boyfriend, and very important to the movie,
Mm.
he grabs her head and slams it against the wall.
And
Pretty
immediately
unexpectedly, too.
apologizes. By the way, like his tone goes from abusive boyfriend to, oh crap, I don't know my own strength. I'm gonna go get you some ice. And you're
Hmm.
you're like, what? We just changed the character in 2 lines. Like,
Yeah. And then he's on the other side of the door knocking, right?
Mhm.
And he's like, I'm gonna stop drinking and I'm gonna be a good guy for you and the baby. And it's like you just threw her against the wall.
Cracked her head open, by the way. Like she
Yeah.
does bleed and kind of goes unconscious on the bed. That's also an important plot point.
Yeah.
Like super
So,
important.
Dad, your thoughts on that point in the movie?
Well, it's as you said, the setup is somewhat, I mean, it's stereotypical of your abusive relationship, right? And the delivery of that line, "Hey, I was watching that." I mean, that's sort of a clue, and it raises questions like, okay, is truly, and the question that, Santino asked his dad, is this a comedy? Is this a parody? Is this self-aware? And at some point, I hope that we get to talk about, a definition of what is camp,
Mhm.
because I think that definitely applies in this case. The term camp comes up again and again in like online reviews of the film, which I looked at afterwards. And I'll just telegraph that I don't think that this movie is campy because camp has to be you think it's good and everyone knows it's not. But they were playing with let's refer to campy things and movies that take themselves extremely seriously, but we're never really going to wink at the camera and say, we're in on it with you. That's what I think is so remarkable about this film is that it never lets you in on the joke, I don't think, with one exception we'll talk about later on. But yeah, the abuse, I think if you're not expecting that, it's pretty jarring. When he shoves her against the wall and even then, I mean, to watch it again, you could see, yeah, there's something else beyond the just a bad relationship going on here. Um, but having said that, it's the key that literally unlocks the Gabriel character, which brings up, and we're close to talking about this point, but there are some logical questions that one could ask about what's Gabriel actually able to do and why? So some of these things aren't really ever addressed in the movie, and it's probably pointless to try to suss those out. But in particular, the first act here and what takes place to the abusive boyfriend begs some questions in light of what we learn later on.
Such as,
Well, later on, we learn that Gabriel actually, in a sense, hatches from the back of Maddie. But how did Gabriel get out to kill him when she had the door locked and he was sleeping on the couch?
he is her. He hijacks her body,
Yeah, so she just
right?
opens the door.
So
But she
she's
saw him do it, or she
Well,
saw
okay.
his shadow.
yeah, that's the brain prison part. Like he puts her in like
Okay,
another state or whatever. Like
Which
that's the explanation,
I
however
see.
good of an explanation that is.
to your point, why does he show her anything of what he's doing,
Yeah, who
especially at
knows?
Mm-hmm.
because it makes a point of like he can control what she sees. Like what? Why though? From the start,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's
but
no good
it's
reason for that.
it's always yeah, it's
Yeah.
always yeah. There is no yeah
Because it
no.
looks cool, I think. It's to throw off the viewer. It has no
Mm-hmm.
benefit
Well,
in
I'll say
world.
I'll say this much at this point because I don't want to forget this point. So this movie is very convoluted, right? Where it has these moments where it shows you things that are like supposed to be like, oh, let's unravel the mystery. And like we've watched movies that do this very well on this show, like Prisoners, right? It shows you pieces and parts and doesn't give you everything. And there's dozens of other movies that do that very well. This movie does that, like tries to attempt to do that, but all it does is lie to you. There
Mm.
is no misdirection. Like it just lies. I feel like in order to get its like point across, I think deliberately like it's just not telling you everything because
Mm-hmm.
the answer's not satisfying, right? The answer's just, oh, it was all in her head, like which not like all in her head, like pun intended, kind of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was all her, but she just saw the other stuff, and it's like, oh, so all that was just, oh, okay, and
Yeah.
it hides everything you'd need to know from you in ways that it retcons later
Mm-hmm.
completely.
Yeah, I think that's part of what I'm still dealing with, probably, is like I haven't fully worked out, what was actually happening at a given moment with the knowledge that you finally receive at the end. Because they lean so heavily in that first episode of she appears to be seeing someone distinct from herself. Because otherwise, you could think right away, oh, she's like she's disassociating and
Yeah.
she's the one who actually did it. But
And it
then the
goes
movie gives you enough to go on to make you think that, well, that couldn't have happened. So
And yeah.
yeah, I'm piecing this together as we're talking about it.
And it goes from she's moving around running away to night terrors kind of on a whim,
Mm-hmm.
right? It goes from these visions where she's moving around, like when the boyfriend dies, when he shows up to the house for no good reason except to build suspense and have those cool camera shots.
Oh, the
Then she's,
Pac-Man shot from above,
yeah,
where we
the
just watch her
paralyzed,
run around. Doo,
yeah,
doo, doo,
Yeah.
doo, 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 doo. Yeah.
Right.
which itself is ridiculous because watching it this time around, the cuts don't match up well at all.
No.
Like she when she runs up the steps, there's the wipe of the room, and then
Mhm.
she's crawling up the steps. Like that's how bad they don't match up. It's just wild. It's just wild. Okay,
Yeah, it is
so
wild. And I'll just want to say one other thing. Up to this point, I felt like there's sort of two derivative sort of, I don't even know how to describe it really, but there's like a couple visual styles or even thematic styles that I was reminded of. And the first was Stranger Things, which with the whole laboratory and experiments,
Mhm.
et cetera, is like, this is really Stranger Things a lot. And then the visual language was almost X-Files in strongly
Yeah.
in various parts with the flashlights and the darkness and the exaggerated mist and stuff. And you've got like a lot of these external establishing shots of places. And plus, it's the Pacific Northwest, so it's like it's early seasons X-Files in some ways. Not that I think that that was necessarily a deliberate choice, but I was feeling those ways watching the early part of this film.
Yeah, for sure. And I know the only outright influence that I think I ever heard James Wan cite was the influence of Giallo movies, which of course you see that all over the color palette and some of the way the killer uses strange weapons and things. But I think that also plays into part of the camp, at least a bit, which I know we'll get to that in a little bit, but that's just something that occurs to me as I say this out loud. But
it's a wild movie. I don't think have the ability necessarily to go like scene by scene through this movie because and here's what I was part of what I was talking about. When I think about this movie, it's like, well, then you drop the like adopted plot point. Where's that come from? Oh, just a scene where she's talking.
yeah,
Like there wasn't plot development up to that point, except for tragically, sadly, her baby dies.
right.
And then in the scene, once we get out of the hospital, she's like, I just want a blood connection with somebody. And her sister's like, what?
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm adopted. And then it's the whoa of where is my mind that haunts this movie.
They do that almost every time there's something they want you to really pay attention to. Like, this is important. And it's just this
Hmm.
weird cover of Where's My Mind every time.
And not necessarily always some like in a time where there's something super important
Oh, it's never
because
when it's important, ever. Like, it's
there's a
not
later
actually important.
there's a later scene that uses that more intensely that
Mhm.
is just like a shot
Oh,
in
it's
the movie, which I
hysterical.
think is fantastic because it's like this is the most awesome thing you've ever seen. It's like we're just panning to the right. Like why are we having this big moment?
Yeah.
But the adopted thing, I don't know. Like what give us some more thoughts. 'Cause what are some other things that stand out from this movie to you? You have
Yeah,
free reign,
Mark, like
father.
when that moment happened, like how big on a scale of 1 to 10, how big was your reaction to the over-the-top nature of I'm adopted? Like
The
what?
adopted thing.
Yeah. Or any of it, but that in particular is like,
I don't that to me that wasn't really the biggest twist. Um,
I mean, it's
it
really no twist at all.
it's no
But
It's
twist at
not.
all.
It's we just met her sister. Her sister just like climbed through a window or
Yeah,
through the
something.
yeah.
window, right?
I know. I think the part that I did like the way that they introduce the mother character, and that's actually her that's tied up in the attic. That was strangely satisfying to
Oh,
me. Like,
yes.
oh, okay, there's a little bit of surprise and heft to that, and So that was they were finally sort of tying some things together in a way that let you know as a viewer this is actually moving towards some sort of conflict that's gonna pay off. And so that I like that. It said, yeah, don't worry, we're gonna get there. And I thought that was good. Um, should we talk about the fight scenes yet, or no? Do you want to? We can go. You want
We
to
can
go
do
there?
that.
We
Okay.
can. I actually, before you get to that,
Yes.
just put a pin in that for like 30 seconds because I did have one thing I want to ask you because I know it confused the crap out of me. Andy, I can't remember if it did you, but when they first introduced the mother character and she's like walking through the underground, whatever, in Seattle,
Mm,
I thought it was just Maddie again, but she just looked kind of different. Like I couldn't tell what was going on because it
mm,
was low light, and I'm like, wait, who the heck was that? And then she's out of the movie for like a really long time
yeah.
before they get to that payoff. So is that just me, or was that like super hard to follow?
Well, it was, yeah, there was no telling who she was at that
Right,
point. There was no clues at all. I thought, you know, my first inkling was that it was the doctor. And of course, age-wise, that wouldn't work if I would have thought about that. But my suspicion was this has to be somebody tied into the experiment somehow.
right.
But they didn't give you any real sense of who that might be. So yeah, it was a pretty satisfying surprise once that became clear.
And for those who haven't seen the movie, it's this setup of this lady who's locked in like a mysterious building that's seeming like some sort of industrial building by the killer. And it turns and she breaks loose. And then she's walking away. And we've been in another scene where like stuff's going down in our main character's home.
Yeah, the police
And
are
then
there.
and the police are there. It's not looking good. And then the character who's been in this room literally crashes through the floor of where she is, and then it is revealed that she's been in the attic of the
Mhm.
house and crashes down into like the living room and is like maimed on the ground but alive, like barely alive.
Yeah.
And the plot, what little plot lines are in this movie literally come crashing together.
Hmm.
Literally come crashing together. And it is like I knew
And
it was
where is my
coming.
mind starts playing
Yeah,
again.
and Where's My Mind starts playing, and this is the one where it is the most pointless one because it goes, whoa, on Madison's reaction.
Mhm.
On which,
Screaming her
okay, I
head
get
off.
it. Yeah, which I get. And then it shows the mom, or maybe vice versa. Or we don't know it's the mom yet, but the lady. And
Hmm.
then there's a shot of Madison in the back of a police car and like her sister banging on the door. And then it's this like gimbal steady cam slow-mo shot that goes on for like 15 seconds while whoa, and we're just following the detective, which by the way,
Yes, we
we
have to
got to
talk.
talk about the
Yeah, we
detective.
should
Detective Kakoa Shaw.
we should do that next, I think,
But
rather
like
than the
it's this
fight
shot
stuff.
and then the slow-mo shot like gets back up to regular speed and it's like a scene between Kakoa Shaw, our hero, I guess, and the sister, and it's like the scene goes nowhere. And so the big whoa slow-mo is after the reveal and it's kind of just like, okay, we get it. Something's up now with
Yeah.
Madison, but
It's
Detective Kakoa Shaw.
and Lady Ice T, his counterpart. It's literally female Ice T. And
It
she
is
always has like a sucker. He's like, I knew this wasn't gonna happen. I'm like, what? You're just all
Yeah.
attitude. There's really no other reason for you to be here.
Right.
no redeeming quality to the sass. I think throughout the whole movie, it is
Yeah.
just sassy black lady
10 pounds of
who's
sass and a 5-pound sack is what it is. It's like
yeah, it's
Yeah, and
exactly.
I felt like that added to the tonal confusion for me because I mean, they're all in some ways the most exaggerated characters in the whole film.
for sure.
You know what I mean? And so it's like he seems earnest and like he's really trying to get to the bottom of this. Um, she is, as you described, they're just to be like stereotypical to the max, the smart aleck partner character. And it's like the whole world of like the police station and so forth. It really another weird association that I made is like Andy mentioned the weird area where the mother was being held. It seems to be in this like triangular shaped or attic of some sort, and there's the big fan going around. And to me, that's such a film cliche that I
Yeah.
immediately thought of the first season of CSI that did that a number of times. And then they introduce police characters, and it's even more CSI. So there was like this weird CSI element brought into it of these, um, very, very, I don't know. The confusion is, are these like characters we're supposed to take as serious investigators, or uh, are they a parody of that whole trope? It's just so odd. Because then they actually do things that are in the world of the story quite serious. I mean, including the whole chase scene.
Hmm.
And there's real consequences to that in the world of the film. But yeah, their relationship, and then like the puppy love flirting whole thing
Yeah, with the
between
other,
him
was she
and
like
the
the crime scene
sister.
tech or whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which really never goes anywhere, and is really like very sweet, a saccharine, overly sweet sort of way. It's more confusion to the confusion fire, but fun at the same time. Like, what's going on? Are and there's not even a secret about, gee, are they flirting with each other? They were, and it gives a little bit of extra spice to his later actions to try to be a kind of, you know, rescuer. But even that
But
is
kind of like
spoiled.
not,
It's,
yeah.
no, it's not. It's not super direct. It just adds a little bit. And
Well, and
it's never paid off either to
I
any
think
degree.
so much, and I agree with you, Mark, 100%. I think so much of what makes a lot of the characters, but especially the police characters, feel this way is that almost everyone in this movie, if you look up their IMDb credits, they're mostly like TV people or soap
Mm.
opera people or something like that. And so the whole thing has this very made for TV
Hmm.
feel. The scene transitions feel made for TV, which adds again to the whole mystique of like, what are
Hmm.
we doing exactly?
There's a million establishing shots for a
Oh
for a
yeah.
movie. It's
Yeah.
like and house.
Yeah, it's almost like a
Scene,
sitcom.
scene, scene,
Every
scene,
time
yeah.
there's a scene transition, they're like, look at this
No.
thing, look at that thing.
Yes. Yeah, that's apt. The one that I think of that was really at this point I may have chuckled. I don't know. Andy may have reacted too, but it's very random scenes of Seattle,
Hmm.
and there's this weird rain effect where it's like, oh, come on, that's not really rain.
Right. It's like stock footage of Seattle that they
Yeah,
speed ramped and then put some rain filters over, and they're like, this is how we're getting to the next scene, guys. Just want to
right.
remind you where you were in case you
Yeah.
forgot.
And normally that doesn't bother me or is even something that I'd notice, but this seemed like it was placed there to be noticed. Like, look
Yeah.
at this fake rain. Like, what? Why? Why
Yeah.
now? Because it was just sort of in the middle of the
Mhm.
film.
And which
Because
is
there's
also
rain in the
weird.
scene.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because there's rain in the scene. You gotta know it's gonna rain. We're at this place and rain.
I
Yeah.
guess. But like
By
you
the
said,
way,
Andy,
we're in Seattle. Don't forget,
yeah, don't
here's the
forget.
Space Needle.
Yeah, it was all landmarks and junk. But like, I think Andy said it at the beginning, which is all the rest of the effects in the movie are like top notch. Like all the weird like melting effects and the
It's
scenery.
really good.
It's
My
good.
jaw dropped during the credits when it was ILM
Yeah.
who had worked on this movie. Like, and all the effects of Gabriel,
Hmm.
Hmm.
Really good.
incredible.
Yeah.
But then
Really
there's
good.
the rain and the stock footage and then like the opening camera effects. And you're like, I just
And yeah,
don't
the
see a
glitch
consistency
effects
here.
to
Yeah.
start the movie were was a wild, wild call.
Well, James Wan does love his glitch effects. I gotta say, like you watch any of the Saw movies, and it's like it's constant. It's constant. So I do feel like some of this is just him, which Again, we'll get to more of that when we kind of dissect exactly the intentions and the tone here. But I know, Mark, we kind of went wide of where we wanted to go here. I know you said you want to start talking about some of the fight scenes, so
Oh
you have
yeah.
the floor.
Oh, okay. Well, the fight scenes for me were the most enjoyable part of the film, and I think that's for a couple of reasons. One is that there's two very big set piece fights in the film, if somebody hasn't seen it. And I think I have to order this right. The first of those is the jail scene where Madison is in the clink with the other female inmates, and that leads to a wholesale slaughter. And in that case, it's very satisfying because she is just victimized mercilessly.
Hmm.
And Gabriel gets out and just goes to town in a variety of creative ways, does away with not just the prisoners who were taking advantage of Madison, but everybody, including prison guards and so forth. But there's a part of you as a viewer that I think is meant to rally behind that and say,
Hmm.
yeah, justice is served. This is okay with me because she was being victimized. And I think then that's contrasted with when Gabriel gets upstairs and takes care of, in similar fashion, wipes out almost the entire police station and staff in similar fashion. But then you start to wonder about, okay, I don't feel nearly as good about this because these are just policemen doing their jobs. But again, it's done in such a creative way that clearly you're supposed to at least admire the style with which this unfolds. And I will say one of my favorite moments of the movie is when our detective characters are limping towards the door, and
Oh,
Gabriel
yes.
finds a chair and just whips it at them just out of spite and
Hmm.
just evil intent and nails them. I mean, it's just like a little cherry on top of this ultra violent
From like
passage in the
50 or
film.
60 feet away, too.
Yeah,
It's a heck of a
yeah,
throw.
it is a heck of a throw. And it shows you, maybe that's a wink at the audience, perhaps I could accept that. But there's that. I found that interesting. Like yeah, with the jail scene and oh, with the police scene. But both of them, and I guess this is why one of the reasons why I responded to those scenes, I think, as I did, is to me they're in some way influenced by or an homage even perhaps to John Woo films, which are symphonies of violence
Hmm.
and showing you all of these creative ways that people can be maimed and killed, even down to the use of different guns, or opportunistic weapons and things of that nature. So, I am a pretty big John Woo fan, and I love The Killer and Hard Boiled and went through that phase for sure. And that's where the movie to me took off when it went in that direction. Because as I said before, it starts out in sort of a mild way and pretty quickly escalates through the series of killings. But this is where it just really accelerates. And, if you're squeamish at all, you should probably avoid Malignant. But if you can get behind like this sort of artistic, choreographed way of going through these scenes, this has a lot going for it, and I was feeling the woo vibes during those passages.
See, that's
Sure.
such a weird part of the movie because up until then, it's only been like a little bit of body horror, um, but like mysterious and vague,
Hmm.
and these visions of these bloody murders, and then all of a sudden, it's an action scene where she's superhumanly
Hmm.
attacking. He is superhumanly attacking these people
Backwards. For
backwards,
the audience to understand, because
backwards.
Gabriel grows out of the back of her head, all the action scenes are her running around backwards
Hmm.
after people, which is Also impossible. She becomes superhumanly strong. It's amazing. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
a movie.
in particular, there's also then the detective versus Gabriel slash Madison, where she escapes the scene
Hmm.
by running up that wall and essentially launching herself through the ceiling hole.
Yeah.
And I was like, uh,
Gravity doesn't matter anymore, guys.
no, no. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, that's the visuals created by that backwards motion, I thought were unsettling. And of course, not unprecedented either. It's you're talking about like The Grudge or The Ring or those type of movies too, with that sort of exaggerated, strange motion. But even so, I like the scene where the chase scene, essentially, where the detective's chasing the figure down the fire escape and through the bottoms of these buildings, and just the weird herky-jerky motion, I think, is unsettling, and I kind of was digging that part too. Maybe that's where ILM was involved.
Lightly, but I do know that I read a lot of stuff that they actually hired contortionists to be able to run through the scene
Oh,
backwards, and
okay.
they did a lot of stunt and choreography work. But of course,
Yeah.
anytime you get into defying gravity, that's where there's a digital takeover.
Mm-hmm.
But they
Mm-hmm.
tried to do a lot on their own.
Yeah.
This movie's just wild because it's almost, and this is, I think, where I start to like fall on the like campy vibe. When we get to the jail and when Gabriel comes out, it's almost like a superhero movie. Like it becomes an action movie. It's almost a superhero movie, except it's not a superhero movie because we've watched this creature murder people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost in this weird way, it's this like perfect could be setting up this like anti-hero thing, but it's totally not what the movie's doing at all. It's kind of in spite of what the movie's doing. I mean, it definitely, I can agree with it wanting to make you celebrate that moment in the jail at first, and then it's kind of like, oh, oh goodness,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to the cops, but it's like you're almost doing this perfect setup for, oh, she can like do all these superhuman things, but then it's like it gets to a point where you're like, what am I watching? Because she
Yeah.
is like, when she gets to the cops, it's like, what's going on? Because it, you go from like, okay, these women in the jail cell who are just messing with her, picking a fight, didn't know what they were asking for, and then it's like all
Mm-hmm.
the cops just get shredded
Mm-hmm.
by this thing, and it's like,
Yeah.
what am I watching right now?
Well,
Right.
and
And
I go
the
ahead.
film, I think, lends itself to that, and it probably wants you to ask that question all throughout, even up to the very last scene,
Could
which is
be.
it. I kind of feel like that. I mean, but yeah, I have to believe that they did. That's exactly what they were going for, was that sense of oh, these bad jail folk are getting their comeuppance now, and there's a little part of you that starts to say, yeah, that's all right. That we're glad to see that, and then immediately, pulls the rug out from under you in a certain way.
Well, you see,
What
the
a
the
wild
the
movie.
bad jail folk, the thing that's fantastic about that is the main three women that are messing with her, they're dressed like one for every decade. So the black chick is
Hmm.
Foxy Brown. There's the 80s chick with like the bleach kind of faded jean and denim and like the weird hair. And there's like a 90s one. I'm like, what? Did we do this on purpose? Did you just have old wardrobe laying around the Warner Brothers lot and you're like, we can just use this? Like that somebody made that
It
decision.
it really stood out to me this time, especially when it's like disco lady,
Yeah,
right?
disco
It's
lady.
like what what is going on in this jail cell?
It's
Except
modern
it's like,
Seattle.
is that what it's like? Is that is that what Seattle? I don't know. It's just apparently we'll have to investigate because it's like, what on earth am I watching?
Yeah, and
In the movie,
adding to the unreality of that is just the sheer size of that holding tank. I mean, it's
Yeah.
huge. It's so unrealistically spaced out that, everybody has plenty of space to kind of stand around.
You
And
say
no
this like
guards
you've
show
been
up.
in the tank,
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah.
Did you spend a couple nights in the drunk tank? How do you know what the
It,
dimensions
it's,
are?
well, I don't know. Well, I mean, it's unusually spacious
I
with
see.
regard to the drunk tanks I'm familiar with.
I see.
And the guards don't show up till like 75% of these women are gone.
No.
And it's one guy like, "Hey, stop."
Yeah.
Oh. So it's just this wild thing. Something I want to make sure we talk about with this movie is we've talked about the editing, but this movie does a thing midway through to kind of keep your interest in it, where almost every shot zooms in j fairly constantly, and it's wild. Like towards the middle of this movie, m almost all the shots are that way, and then the movie kind of forgets it was doing that and stops doing it. Like the first It's probably the first half of this movie does that a ton. And then it kind of goes away, which is kind of funny to me. Like, very interesting choice. Where even on some shots where it didn't need to be, there's no added benefit. It's the camera's just working its way in. I will in post too. This is like a
Or like a
you
digital zoom.
yeah, a digital zoom, which is just why'd you do that movie? Why?
Well, one of my favorite moments that I feel like I need to make sure that I bring up because we're already actually past it technically because if we're already talking about like the police station thing, then this happened a little bit before it. So backtracking slightly, so her sister, her not blood sister, drives to this big Gothic asylum in order to do research, and there's a moment where she pulls up and she just this for the people listening, the structure is on the side of a cliff, basically. And so she pulls up and it's a wide shot, and you see her come up really quickly and like stop just short of going over the cliff. Like she's
Hmm.
this far from the cliff. And when that happened, Dad and I are looking at it like, what are we doing? And then they never bring it up again. Like if that was on purpose, and this is the thing that Dad and I argue about when we say, did they make this movie funny on purpose? Is it incompetent or is it purposely campy? I always point to this scene because I'm like, look, if it was a real comedy and they meant to do it, I could give you everything except that moment. Because if I did that moment in a movie, it's a setup without a punchline. There's no payoff. In any other movie, you watch scary movie, you watch whatever. Okay, somebody would pull up, and then either somebody's gonna fall off, or they're
Hmm.
gonna something. It's gonna come back eventually. That's how jokes work. This was literally like going knock knock, and you go, "Who's there?" And I just go and leave. Like
Hmm.
that's not how jokes work. That's not how comedy works. And they just did that. It's a setup without a punchline, and it's amazing. And everyone I've talked to, anyone I've ever seen review this movie or react to it, when that scene comes on, they're like, "Whoa, hey, whoa." And they don't understand why we just did that. And Andy sent me the actress who played in that scene, and that was like one of her favorite moments.
Yeah,
Really?
there's a short of this actress dying laughing, like hysterically laughing at the "I'm adopted" moment, like in an interview, and that moment where she's like, "I don't know what we were doing," like, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah. She's like, I was on a green screen, so I didn't know there was going to be a cliff there. And then I saw the movie. I'm like, well, what am I doing driving up to this cliff?
Oh my
It's
so
amazing.
goodness.
it's the consensus when it comes to this movie.
Hmm.
It's just it's such an incredible thing, and I think I kind of want to open the camp conversation up because I set up what I was going to say and then I didn't remember to finish it. I think the vibe this movie gives me, what they're trying to go for, is something not campy necessarily, but pulpy, like kind of a comic book adjacent thing, because that's kind of this vague, weird anti-hero, but not at all, and it's kind of the corniness of it. It doesn't take itself that seriously. And what the problem is, the only problem with that is that they don't know where that line is. So they're not taking themselves seriously, but they only do stuff that's actually either funny or ridiculous. So instead of it being like, oh, we're self-aware, carefree, it's like oh, we're gonna be self-aware, carefree. Meanwhile, we're gonna choose to do the funniest thing ever. Yeah, read your line, do your line as he's broadcasting his thoughts, and we're gonna go with it. And we're campy, we're pulpy, right? This isn't supposed to be 100% serious. And like the visual language of the movie is this like blockbuster action, which doesn't make sense with that. But it's like I don't know. I That's kind of what I did to help reconcile the movie in my head last night was like this is comic booky if not like but not done well
Yeah, right.
is
I think that's the distinction. I never
is
looked
like
at
not
it that way. I think that's a good way of looking at it.
is it's almost the way it's setting up. There's clear sequel bait at the end of the movie where it's like, oh, I'll be back or whatever.
Yeah, and then she's like, I know, but this time I'll be ready. Why? Why do you suddenly have the power
Yeah,
now? You weren't
right,
ready the
right.
last time. It's
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
your sister said, he's feeding on your fetuses. That's why they died. And then like you were just so mad. You're like, oh, I guess I have all his powers now. Like, what?
And like what caused this time was head trauma. So it's like next time I bang my head, it'll be like, oh no, Gabriel's gonna come back.
Right. It's gonna be like heartburn. He just keeps coming back. Just take some Pepto-Bismol and just get mad and like it'll be fine. It's so weird.
Yeah. Lock him in his your mental prison that you put him in.
The literal, very like definite mental, like that was one of the few times we did some imagery and I went, wow, we just went full like remedial, just like whatever you would do,
Hmm.
just make it a mental prison. And it's just bars
Yeah.
on black. Like we have no more money left. Just do that. We spent it all on the big Gothic castle.
Yeah. I was getting like straight to video late 80s, early 90s vibes off of those scenes. Because you're right,
Absolutely.
they were so bare bones. Oh, and the other connection, this is the weirdest sort of connecting the dots type thing. And I don't, even when I was watching it, I thought, this is a weird reaction. But there were scenes in that, and the bars and the mental jail thing at the end was one of those scenes. But there were moments where I felt like I was watching Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
Be-
Yes.
because because it was doing certain things like visually that Pee-wee's Big Adventure does.
Hmm.
Like with the black set background and a few
Hmm.
like props and then the main characters interacting, that's just like this is so odd. I mean, I keep that's the word I keep coming back to with this film is that it's just so many odd choices at once just leave you as
So
a viewer
many.
going, what what is happening right now? It really is like and things that don't resolve, as you said with the cliff scene. And I did want to ask you, if I watched the last scene correctly, or if I heard everything or saw everything that I was supposed to, because it holds that final shot for so long, and there's that lamp in the foreground
Hmm.
that you're absolutely expecting to wink on, to be like, oh, the electricity is still there or something, but
Hmm.
nothing happens. And
Right.
that, to me, that's like that's parallel to the cliff scene in the sense that okay, there's going to be one more something that
Hmm.
happens, but nothing does. I mean, there's the hint of a electrical sound,
Hmm.
which that might just be our old house. But if
No,
it
the
wasn't,
electrical sounds there.
It's there. Yeah.
is it there?
Hmm.
So okay, so there's like a little piece of something, but
It's
yeah,
like he wanted to tease a sequel or to show you that Gabriel's like still there or doing something. And then two things happened. He went, oh, wait, that's right. We already told you that he's still there explicitly. So we don't really need to do this. And also, they'll be expecting it to blink. So I'm going to subvert their expectation. I'm not going to have it blink. And then it's kind of like, well, then why even show us this shot?
yes,
Just
right,
end.
right,
uh,
I think the total again another like lie of the movie is seeing the sister die because then
yes,
yeah,
it's like that's okay,
it
you're
has a
being
payoff, but it's
it pays off,
weird.
but it's also just like, well, there's any emotion to the movies now, like
Hmm.
emotional depth, as she wasn't. And then the line of, it was always my body, I have the strength, is like,
Since when?
what? Yeah, also
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense. Also, you struggle to lift the bed off her. Like it'd be I don't know if they got to that shot and she was supposed to like fling it off and they were like this would be so corny, we can't possibly do it.
Hmm.
And
Telling
like
you, I think
fine.
they ran out of money at the end because that would be expensive. I think they just started going, just whatever's the fastest way out of this. We've got 10 pages to do today and it's the last day. Let's just do it, guys. I think that's
Yeah.
what it was. And here's the thing, not to step on that, but speaking of unresolved things, I think Andy, you are familiar with this verb in the parlance of my times and my vernacular now. And Mark, I think you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Mm,
So when Kakoa Shaw shows up to the hospital, he gets like blasted into the other room,
mm.
literally knocks him out of the movie. And he never comes back. We don't know if he's alive. We don't know if he's dead. He never comes back. And two things resulted from this. Number one, I kept thinking, well, he's going to come back and do
Yeah.
something. He's going to
Yeah.
save the sister. Okay, no, he doesn't. He's going to do this. No, he doesn't. And then I thought, wait a minute, it would be so amazing. And this is why I say I don't know if we're really going for comedy because there's a huge missed opportunity here. So, she puts Gabriel in the mental prison and then she pulls the bed off her sister. She's like, I always wanted a blood connection. I didn't know it was right here all along. And as this tender moment is happening, I kept thinking, Kakoa Shaw has been knocked out this whole time. He doesn't know she's not possessed anymore. What if he just comes in and goes blam and shoots her?
Yeah.
Because he sees her like on top of the sister, right?
Hmm.
I thought that'd be an amazing way to end this movie if it was a comedy, but they don't do it. So there's
Hmm.
a missed opportunity. And then the second thing is now it has entered my vocabulary to say when a movie forgets that a character exists, you've Kakoa Shawed them out of the movie. They're just gone. They
Yeah.
never come back. And that's like a hallmark of bad movies like the world over. People get Kakoa Shawed out of a movie and the movie just forgets they exist for either
Yeah.
forever or for like an entire 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So
We've used that, I think, on this show.
I
Whether
think so,
it's
yeah.
Kakoa
I
Shad. That's
because
great.
because when Kakoa Shaw introduced himself in the movie, I went, Kakoa Shaw. Where have I where have I heard this before? And I went, oh, Santino and I talk about this guy. That's
Right.
why. Like he is our verb, like it is a verb that's this movie has entered our speech to that level. I
Hmm.
just think, man, it is such a wild ride. And like on repeat viewings of the movie, I knew what was happening at least the second time, and I was like, this is still great. Like all the funny beats are still just funny, and it makes just about as much sense as you think about it right now. Because like I said, I was really thinking about this movie when it was up in the air whether you and I were gonna watch it together. I was like, okay, what do I remember from the movie? What do I remember from the movie? And it is about what I remember, which is like, okay, we meet the lady, and then all of a sudden she's crazy. Like there's
Hmm.
no easing into anything. There's no build up. There's no real character development outside of I always wanted a blood connection with somebody. And turns out I had it all along. And it's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. I There's one thing about the climax of the film that I really want to say, and that
Hmm.
it you kind of touched on it before. It when everything hinges on the fact that Madison is able to simply all of a sudden decide to imprison Gabriel. And it's done so easily and simply that you would think then that after she does that and successfully locks him away, wouldn't she be crushed by guilt? Because think of her body count, that she's just how many people she's killed in that world. And she could have all along just decided, oh, I'm going to stop this before it starts. But she was incapable, I
She did
guess,
she did know about
because
her
You
babies.
she
didn't know
didn't
about
know.
the fetuses.
Yeah, right. But yeah, it's so odd. It's such a weird
Hmm.
thing. And I guess, I like what you said, Andy, about pulpy. It certainly is that. And I also, another word that was playing around in my mind is that because you begin from from the opening sequence and then the establishing shots of the home, this is just not reality. This is a weird constructed world. It strikes me as sort of this dark, twisted fable,
Hmm.
and a fable has like the little punchy aphorism that sums it all up, and that's exactly what Madison says at the end, right? I had you all along. You were right in front of me. So it's not gritty or in the sense that it's like this realistic crime drama killing spree thing. It does exist in the pulpy world or like a graphic novel world, it seems to me, more than anything. If you're trying to place it in a context, that's where it seems to belong.
Yeah, this movie is utterly removed from reality
Hmm.
from the start.
But it
Like
takes
from
place
when
in
you think it,
Seattle, guys.
Right.
It's a modern film.
And there's rain, so
And
it's
there's
clearly
rain.
Seattle.
Right. And they play Where Is My Mind? Like, this is our universe, guys.
This is,
I don't know what
oh,
movie you were watching, but it was perfectly
yeah.
realistic. I was completely invested.
grounded even,
Mhm.
right?
Gritty realism,
It's crazy, crazy
hard-hitting
movie.
drama. So,
So
yeah,
go ahead.
okay.
Hey,
Well, I think we were both going to say the same thing, so go
yeah.
ahead.
So we get to this point of every show, right, where we talk about if we liked the movie or not, and then we rate it out of 10, and then we say if it has our heart or not. Typically in that order.
Yeah.
Um, the guest, I feel, well, the guest goes first is the way things work around here.
Oh,
So
oh, okay.
As
do
of two
you,
seconds ago.
yeah,
That's
do
how it
you
works.
like this movie? Do you not like this movie?
Do I like this movie? Yes. It was an enjoyable viewing experience. Absolutely.
Santino, do you like this movie?
I love this movie. This was when I mean, here's the thing. You do have, as you said, Andy, that you can rewatch it because it really is just wild enough that you can just keep rewatching it. And there is little enough of a plot that you can't quite remember how things hang together and in what order certain scenes go. So it's always a little bit surprising. But when you watch it the first time is really the best time you'll ever have, especially if you go into it the way all three of us did, which is with no expectations. Because when I
Hmm.
went to see it, I just saw a trailer and thought, oh, James Wan, it's going to be like a haunted house movie. So wrong. I told Andy the night I saw it, I'm like, you have to watch this movie. He's like, what's it
Hmm.
about? I'm like, you're not ready for it. Don't watch anything, just watch it. And he did the same thing to you. And so
Hmm.
I think that's the best way you can watch it. But yes, I very much enjoyed this movie. Andrew.
I was trying to find our original texts. So you said Andy, this is September 17th, close to right now, right about now.
Okay.
2021. Andy, have you seen Malignant yet? No, I have not. Should I see it? Yes, you have to see it, but don't read any reviews or anything. Just go in and cold and see it. I just watched it last night and only saw the trailer before, and man, I wasn't ready for it. Said, okay, I'll have to check it out. And that's the rest is history. So I like this movie a lot. This movie has, well, I might be getting ahead of myself there, but I like this movie a lot. It's something special. It is clearly someone's creative vision, whether it's executed well. Well, it's even well executed. It's an interesting vision.
Yeah.
Interesting vision. So rate it. Do we haven't really had a movie in this vein yet. I guess The Gate last week was, but
Yeah.
it's like how would you rate this movie is like as objectively as possible? Question
Hmm.
mark? Like, can we even do that with this movie?
That's the
What
problem with movies that have camp or are in the category of so bad it's good because do you give them an honest rating? Like if you were to give, say, Elves an honest rating, it's a 3. It's a terrible movie. But if you give it the rating in terms of enjoyment, it's like a 7.5. So like
Yeah.
it's a bit weird, but I want to see how you kind of thread that, Mark.
Hmm.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, blaze that trail. Be
Yeah.
the pioneer.
Okay. Well, yeah, the distinction that you made, I think, is right on. Because if I went strictly, I'll go backwards. In terms of enjoyment, I would give this a solid 7. I really, the fact that it just kept me wondering basically the whole time, and then had some like, far more than I expected action sequences, the like of which I enjoy quite a lot. Um, my expectations were exceeded, and I didn't have any, or I didn't. They were very limited in what I thought it was going to be, and it was just a lot more fun of a viewing experience. So I'd give it a 7. in enjoyment. In terms of like execution, um, I would give it probably an 8 because this is my opinion, but I think there was a lot of self-awareness that went into this film to the degree that I think those choices, for example, of the women in the prison scene, those that was all done intentionally. I don't think it was just, oh, we've got these you know, silly costumes to put on. I think there is a lot of like, how many oblique references can we make to horror films of the past, and especially 80s, like that 80s to 90s span, kind of Nightmare on Elm Street sort of slasher world. And a lot of those choices I really think were probably made deliberately. So I thought they pulled that off really well. And to have made a film that is so much fun to talk about, but that most people don't hate, that's kind of a weird, good achievement in today's
For
cinematic
sure.
world.
For sure.
Yeah, that is nailing it. Is like this is a movie that's not great and it's weird, but you don't despise it. It's like it's fun to talk about.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know. When it comes to rating this movie, I think by the scale we've been using on this show, I have to give it like a 5 or a 6 because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
not good,
I'll just say
right?
time out and say I knew I would be very loosey-goosey with the rating system, having listened to you guys. So
Yeah.
I
Well,
was generous, I'm sure.
so it's like it's a 5 or a 6 as far as like a quality of movie goes in my mind. Like, I mean, it's very well put together, but there's like story wise, which we're big on that around these parts. There's not there's not much. It's an interesting concept. You score some concept points. I think it's a well enough shot movie, but it's like it's a 6. I think when it comes to like subjective enjoyment points scale, it's 8, 9, right? This is up there. This is, movies I love that I talk about with my friends. I try to get people to watch. It's this movie is like it's on the list. So that's what I got. Santino, I think I skipped your spot
I
because I
feel like
don't know what we're
that's
doing.
oh no, that's I'm pretty much in full agreement. I can't actually remember offhand what I rated this on IMDb, but if I had to do something objective, just from just objective film perspective compared to other movies in its genre, etc. Yeah, it's competently shot, it's competently made. The effects are generally good, except for a few really weird ones that aren't. And the acting is serviceable, but very soap opera-ish at times, and whether that's on purpose or not, the the result is still that it is somewhat stilted and strange. And so I'd say that, you got like a 6 objectively, but man, in terms of enjoyment value, I mean, the entertainment value for this thing is like you said, 8 or 9. Like it's pretty high up there. I mean, for me, it's like this and Evil Dead 2 duke it out for like the top spot all the time. I mean, they're like really
Wow.
high up,
I
really
didn't
high up.
realize you viewed this so highly. So if you
Oh
don't know
yeah.
Santino personally, Evil Dead 2 is
That's the gold
probably
standard.
that's the gold standard and also like a movie you bring it up probably as much as I bring up No Country for Old Men, right?
Hmm.
It's a movie that's like you compare it with everything. It's like
Yeah.
it's a Rosetta Stone of how you view other movies,
Hmm.
how it relates to that. So that's crazy.
Well, see,
That's
the
really
only
cool. Not
difference though,
crazy, not like I disagree.
right. Well, the only
You
reason
don't view it that way, Santino. You're wrong.
the only reason that there's even a bit of a fight between the two is that if, Evil Dead 2, nothing's as influential as Evil Dead 2. So it'll never take Evil Dead 2's spot simply because of its cultural impact and what it is. It's very original. Malignant is not going to influence too many people because it's too much the sum of its parts. And it doesn't necessarily exceed the sum of its parts either. It's just kind of like you took a best of every Giallo movie, every 80s movie, and just kind of went, here's a bunch of stuff. But it is so highly entertaining that it's very, very highly rated, at least in my opinion. So there's the ratings. And then Andy, if you wanted to launch the last part here.
Okay, my dad, my father. Does this movie have your heart?
I would have to say it almost has my heart.
Ah,
It almost
almost.
has my heart. There's reasons why I would watch it again. Um, but there are other films that have my heart on a much bigger level to a greater extent. I would I would willingly watch this again and enjoy every minute of it, but it's not a Muse. It's not going to be like a Muse movie for me.
That's fair. I am honestly surprised, knowing you as well as I do, that you've liked the movie as much as you did. I mean, I know So Bad It's Good is your cup of tea. That's
Hmm.
not, but as far as like this brand of it, I was not really that certain at all what you'd think. I mean, I knew you'd get it. I knew you wouldn't be
Yeah.
like, why do you guys like this
Well,
movie?
yeah. I could comment on that a little bit, I think, and it's because this movie is meant to be fun, and it's not grim. It's not like just straight up grindhouse horror,
Mhm.
which is not my cup of tea, and I this is not that at all. This is like a super fun take on a lot of parts of those films that the whole of it is like, yeah, it's a cool film.
Awesome. Santino, does it have your heart?
So that's actually a harder question to answer than it should be because Evil Dead 2 has my heart and many other movies have my heart. And the having my heart like that categorization is, and I think you kind of said this a little bit, Mark, is it's very much contingent on how much of an influence it is, how much of a muse it is. Like, am I inspired by Malignant? Not really. But I do enjoy watching it a lot. So yeah, it's tough. I think I want to say it does, and I want to say it doesn't. It's like right on, it's teetering precariously on the edge.
It's
If I
like the
can,
film itself.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's yes and no.
Yes, it's yes and no.
if I can speak for you, I feel
Mhm.
like it does. I hear what you're saying. If we're making it like how much of it is our muse and how much do we like become entwined with this movie,
Right.
which I
Then
think
no.
like for you and I, it's like there's a reason why like No Country visually alone for me is a movie that like I'm so drawn to and I think like I love so much. So do I like take things with me eh, as a creative from this movie? No. But do I take things from this movie as like a person? Yeah. I think
Yeah.
like I mean we could talk about being Cocoa Shawed out of a movie,
Okay, yeah, I
right?
mean, I guess for that alone, you could say yes, simply because it
Yeah.
has had some kind of influence.
Is this movie my muse? No. But is it
Right.
pretty much the gold standard of how I can have a great time about a movie that's not necessarily the best with one of my friends who I like to talk to movies about? It's
Fair
like
enough.
it's the gold standard of that for
Yeah.
me because I don't think there's another movie that have gotten you and I going as much as this. I think part of it in hindsight too, like the glitch effects from the opening credits were at a time in our lives where like glitch effects were a joke we made. So
Well,
like
because of, yeah, all of the in the documentaries we worked on.
yeah, because of like work we yeah, because of stuff we worked the sheer amount of glitch effects in things we were a part of at the time,
Mhm.
it was like hilarious that this movie started with glitch effects. So it came at the perfect time. It I it's a classic. It's a cult classic amongst us. Uh any closing thoughts from either of you? Hearing none. Unless
I mean, I think the only closing thought I have is just that, if it's more for the audience, for anybody who hasn't seen this movie, for anybody who's listened to all this, we've spoiled it all. The thing is, it kind of doesn't matter that we spoiled it all. I still encourage you to watch the movie because I think you said this at the beginning, Andy. no matter what we say about this, it pales in comparison to just watching it unfold on screen. Watching the moment the mother falls through the ceiling onto the coffee table in front of the cops, when that moment happened the first time in the theater, I howled with laughter to the point where I thought I broke a rib. And there were only like three other people in the theater with us, and they were like, no one else was laughing. And I lost it because that was just ridiculous. I was holding it in up to that point. So it's worth seeing anyway. That would be my closing thought. I don't know what Mark has, but that's mine.
Yeah, I would say for somebody who enjoys movies and has been watching movies for a long time, you chances are good you will enjoy this movie because it is, well, and TV for that matter. Um, it draws on all the raw materials of a lot of films and manages to do something that is bewildering and fun, and you will not be bored as you watch this. So if you have those sort of criteria in mind, check out *Malignant*.
Yes, check it out. Check it out. Thank you so much for listening to this show. Thank you so much for being on this week's episode, Dad. This was awesome.
Yeah, Mark,
I'm
Thank
thanks
so
you.
for coming
glad.
out.
It was a blast. I enjoyed myself a lot. That's not every day you get to be on your favorite podcast.
Oh, well, we'll keep it, hopefully keep it going. Um, if you like the show, uh, like and comment. You know what to do. But importantly, share it with a friend that you like to talk to movies with. Next week's episode, we're going to kind of keep the campiness going. And I think I'm going to throw Santino a curveball, even though he knows it's coming. He knows what a curveball is.
I don't know
Santino's
what
going
it
to
is yet.
watch, he's going to watch the 1976 film Creature from Black Lake.
Okay.
Oh my
I've
goodness.
never seen this. I've never
You've
seen
never
this.
seen it. And I've been thinking about this while we're recording this, and
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna maybe edit this a bit, but not like literally edit this on the show, but update it with you later. I almost want to task you, Santino, with a blank check to remake this movie. As you watch it, I want to know
Okay.
how you would do it. Because, and part of this, and I love Creature from Black Lake, is I don't necessarily know how we could get a whole hour plus from it anyways.
Fair
It's not a,
enough.
as far as 70s Bigfoot films go, it's up there. It's, that's what I'll that's what I'll give you. And I mean, and you know the competition.
Well, now you
So
see,
you know.
you shouldn't have said Bigfoot because when you said Creature of Black Lake, I thought it was going to be like a lake monster. So now I'm shifting my
Well, the
expectations.
movie posters is this. So
Oh,
I
well,
don't
yeah,
think you would have thought Lake Monster
I
for
guess
too
not,
long.
not too long.
So
But well, and the thing is, that's not even really like a task when you say task me with coming up with a remake, because every movie I watch, I immediately dissect and go, well, how would I have done it differently or better? So,
yeah.
especially old movies. So,
And I kind of want us both to approach it that way. Again, because I think it'll give a fun angle to
mhm.
this movie. And it's kind of it's my best attempt at keeping spooky season going on the show.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we got to keep it going all the way through October. And
oh,
then we'll
for
have a
sure.
little break in November. And then in December, I don't know if we'll do all Christmas movies, but there's definitely a couple that we could
Hmm.
probably talk about that maybe Andy hasn't seen. Um,
Probably haven't seen.
yeah, probably hasn't seen. We'll see. And we got to bring you back, Mark, for a couple more for the trilogy, for the trifecta here of
Ooh,
uh of brain power, of movie brain power.
gladly, yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to do this again. Thank you so much for listening. Godspeed.